So I've heard that there's teachers who teach with us online and they don't post a syllabus for the entire school year at the beginning of the year. They just tell the parents and the students to pay attention to the table of contents.
Mhm.
Why might they do that?
Well, um, I'm not sure if this is unique to law schools, but there's a certain order that we need to do things, right?
Hmm.
And we need to practice certain skills and certain tools so that we can use them and build on them in the next essay. Um, I find myself with certain classes in different years needing to linger on particular lessons. There are some lessons like sorting that it's challenging. I know I'm going to need to linger there. I know I'm going to need to review in the following semester. But sometimes it's a surprise. And I want to go at the class's pace because the focus is more on understanding and wrestling with that lesson than checking a box and moving on. Um, we're building a house here. We want to make sure it's sturdy. So I assure my parents that you can see what we're going to be working on um, in the order we're going to be working on it. But some lessons are going to take a couple of weeks instead of that 1 week that may I may have scheduled in a syllabus. You know, surprises happen.
Mm, yeah. Well, and
Right.
on that note, my understanding is that out of all of the intellectual skills taught in Law Tools Level 1, sorting is the most challenging. And so, yes, it makes sense to allow more time for that one to have a repetition for the students to maybe pull it into separate parts, which is what I've done in my classes, right? I don't teach everything that's to be done in that typical week in 1 week. Instead, I break it up so that we can practice a little part and a little part and a little part, and then we put it all together.
Mhm.
Um, and so then the next time we come around, now we'll keep it all together, unless we're not ready.
Right.
And that's why I would never publish my syllabus at the beginning of the school year.
Right.
Um, mhm. Because the point was more so when we're teaching, it's to actually teach the student and not to cover the lesson. Because if I cover the lesson, nobody's going to see it.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. We're teaching students. I mean, we are teaching the material, but we're teaching students, and we have to make sure that they're being transformed by this, not just informed.
Mm.
It's not a well-checked list that we're looking for. We really want them to be to change their habits of mind.
Mhm.
And really, in that way, I'm allowed then as the teacher to teach from a state of rest because I'm at rest knowing I'm only going to move at the pace at which my students are ready. I'm going to do all
Right.
I can to keep them going. I'm going to be available. I'm going to teach my lesson. I'm going to show up prepared. But if I can rest in knowing I don't have to move at a pace that they're not ready for,
Mhm. Mhm. That's
that's
a
too
real
stressful.
struggle. Yes, I was gonna say like it's a struggle. Maybe it's I had a very typical education. The expectations were typical. I homeschooled for years before I found classical education. So that struggle for me as a teacher to say we're going to pause right here and pick up next week. Um, I know the benefits. We all walk away from the lesson. As you mentioned, it is teaching from a state of rest. And we need to understand as teachers, as students, that this is the most beneficial path for all of us, which I don't think the students mind. They think, that's homework.
Right. Well, and it is a skill. It's like if we're teaching our children how to cook a meal or how to clean a bathroom. I mean, you can't just say, "Oh, that's good enough. Let's move on." I mean, if they really, then the food will never come out right. I mean, it really takes time to to make sure that they understand all the steps. And if they don't know them, there's going to be a problem. You can't build on them, or you can never do that right.
Mhm. The house isn't sturdy. Um, I'm thinking of if we, for instance, I do my best to always review, you know, our past lessons very quickly. Let's go through and remember these are the parts of the canon, and these are the tools, the skills that we use, um, and it's important to remind ourselves. Sometimes the student won't realize, oh, I didn't know that that's how we were supposed to do it. Or, oh, now I understand what you're asking me to do. So we're strengthening the house, we're strengthening the structure, so that they, they can, I don't know. That's the focus here. It's not just covering that lesson, staying on, being beholden to a syllabus. I think that's what we're talking about here. Being beholden to a syllabus. We're teaching little souls.
Yes, and even if you have a year of level 1 with students and the students know really well 3/4 of the book and you don't finish the end of it at all, then that will benefit them so much more than hearing all the lessons and remembering none.
Right. Because in our online classes in particular, we're refining their understanding by asking for corrections. Okay, so that's one step in helping their understanding. We're asking them to repeat what they've learned in previous lessons. And so if we don't allow the time, if we don't linger on the lesson when it's necessary, I think the stress level, the frustration level increases. So it's so important, and really a better way to learn, not necessarily the way I was personally educated, but I see the benefits now, and it's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I think we need to remember why we're teaching.
Right. We're not checking boxes.
Finish, right?
Finish the book.
Oh.
Not it.